Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, some wonderful, great news. I mean, it's gonna save us all, really. Everything's gonna be okay. We need to just stop worrying about all this possible bad stuff that's gonna happen, because it's all gonna get fixed. It's all going away, and we have someone that stepped up and that says, I'm gonna fix it all. It's been announced that Joe Biden is running for his re-election campaign. He's officially thrown his hat into the ring that he is going to get the job done. In fact, he's asked to just re-elect him again because he needs to finish the job he started. We need to let this man get in there and finish what he started, because I mean, you can't pull the goose out halfway. You got to wait until the goose is cooked, and that's what Joe Biden's going to do. He's going to finish us off if we just re-elect him. And honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I really wouldn't be too surprised if he did get re-elected. But in all seriousness, folks, I don't know that it matters too much anymore who gets elected. I know that may sound very pessimistic. It may not sound like we're supposed to say and act and do because we're Americans and we can elect our leadership and things can change and there's always hope for tomorrow. And I'm not saying that there isn't any hope. I'm just trying to say that I think personally the path that we're going down, it's been pre-planned. This is something that's been in the works for a very long time, not just in the last few years, but probably decades, maybe longer. And so I don't know that who sits in the White House is really going to make a whole lot of difference of how all of this stuff that we've been seeing happening and involved in is going to change. The main thing is that we have to get away from this idea that any one man is going to save us. There was only one man that ever existed that could save us, and we're waiting for him to come back again someday. And these people, regardless of who they are, regardless of how amazing they may sound, they may be genuinely good people. They really might be. We have to understand that in the end, they're just humans and they're fallible. And the mess that we are in right now as a nation and as a world, I don't know that any one person can really turn it around. Some say that I'm a little too doomsday. If you've been watching me for a while, you might remember a few months back, I said that I was convicted. I felt this conviction that I was given this platform and given this audience. I don't know why. I don't know why anyone would watch me or follow me, but apparently, a little less than 100,000 of you do. But I was convicted that I should use this platform for really good, and good in the way that I know how, and that's to wake people up, to get people awake and understanding what's going on, and so that they can prepare. And the only way that I can figure that I can do that is to just speak the truth like it is, and to talk about the real issues going on, and then in ways that we can kind of get ready. And maybe that is a little doomsday sometimes, because the issues that are going on, the stuff that's happening in this world, they are pretty dark and scary, because I think we live in that kind of dark time period, that period that's been spoken about for millennia, of how, the love of man will grow cold, and that the rise of darkness and Satan's powers will get stronger towards the end. I think that's where we're living. A friend of mine sent me a video that I watched yesterday, and it was talking about kind of that thing. And the guy was talking about how, I guess, over the next couple of weeks is actually a big time period for the dark spirits and the dark arts, people that are witches and things like that, leading up into May 1st, which is a big pagan day, and then I think May 5th is a lunar eclipse, and the guy was talking about how it's a prominent time of the year for them. I was watching another video the other day, and the guy in the video was saying how in America now, and I don't know where he gets these numbers, so they may not be true, but he's seemed to be a pretty, honest type of guy. He said that for the first time in America, there are actually more people that claim to be witches than there are Presbyterians. And I think that should say a lot for a people that maybe we haven't always, as a government especially, but even as individuals, shown that we are attempting to be a godly nation. But we've always at least tried. We've always kind of sold ourselves as that. The rest of the world's kind of known that. As much as the bad that's been done because of America, there's actually has been a lot of good that's been done. There's been more people witnessed to around the world, more of God's message sent around the world because of America and the work that Americans have done over the last couple of hundred years. And then now to say that evilness is becoming a prominent thing in America, that people are turning their back on God, and even those that still profess to go to church, still profess to be of some kind of Christian faith. Unfortunately, unfortunately, they're not living it. They're watering it down. They're spreading this idea of tolerance, that we have to tolerate this evilness. We have to tolerate wickedness because, God's just all about love. That's what He's all about. It's not about, condemnation. It's not about righteousness. It's not about obedience to the law or anything like that. It's just about love, and as long as there's love, it's okay. This is some of the reasons why when I say that I don't know that any man getting elected into office is actually going to do much good, because any president or any other political figure is highly unlikely capable of turning this darkness around. It has become pervasive. We've allowed it. As a nation and as a people, allowing tens of millions of innocent young to be murdered, allowed several generations now to be exposed to so many things that a child just shouldn't even be exposed to. And then now we're to the point that we're actually physically mutilating children. We're castrating them. We're giving them chemicals to alter their body, and praising it as it's a good thing. I don't say all this to be so dark and pessimistic and it's all the end. In fact, at least for those of you that are believers, we should be celebrating the fact that we're getting close to the end. It's going to be hard. There is no promise that just because we're believers that everything's going to be great for us. There's no promise that we will go through all of these hard times and be untouched. But there is a promise that if we endure to the end, we will be saved. And so that's why we live the life we do and we believe the way we do. There are consequences for one's actions. We teach that to our children. I'm sure each one of you have done that. You teach your children, or you were taught as a child, that there's always consequences for one's actions. Well, it's the same way as a people. The wages of sin is death, and we were taught that a nation that turns its face towards God will be blessed, and a nation that turns its back to God can be cursed. And this nation has, and this culture, this civilization, not just the United States, but the whole Western culture, and really the whole world, for the most part in general, has become so emboldened. They've embraced this humanism and this idea, this concept that we are our own gods and that we are equal to him. And so they've turned their back and they've embraced all of this self-gratification and this wicked, evil ways. And at some point, you have to pay the piper. And I think that that's very likely. I'm not being a prophet or any kind of theologian, but I think what we're seeing is probably part of the consequences to our actions. We have allowed self to just be everywhere. It's all about oneself and gratification and whatever makes us feel good. That's all that matters. And so that's what we're seeing. And so are things bad? Yeah. I mean, if you say that it's not, if you say that that's just some doomsday, then you're in self-denial. You're just denying what's actually going on. You're not aware of how the world is working. You haven't seen what's going on. It's all over. It's on the city streets of America. You can just see it with your own eyes. You can't turn on a TV or the internet or listen to the radio or anything and not see it. It's all over. I'm not saying it's everybody, but it is all over. And a nation cannot continue to go down that path, embracing that level of wickedness, and expect everything to be okay and expect to continue to go on. At some point, that wickedness leads it down to a path of where it becomes unstable, because it becomes to a point that it starts to pull itself apart. Virtually every civilization that's ever existed that's gone down that path ends up in the same place. And so maybe now is the time for America to go through those consequences for its actions. And if that is so, I think it makes complete, perfect sense for us to be prepared for that. We as individuals that are believers, that are still trying to do the right thing, still trying to live the right way, we know that we're not part of that evilness, but the consequences as a whole, as a nation, will still affect us. And so that's why we have to get ready. We are set apart people. And so we have to not just set ourselves apart in a spiritual way, but also in a physical way, and learn ways and to develop our preparations in a way so that we can kind of live outside of this collapsing world, because we are set apart. And so that's something that I hope that at least in a little tiny bit, at the very minimum, that I can spread that message to you folks. I know you're not all gonna believe me. That's fine. It's still a free country, at least a little bit, for a little while longer. So that's okay. But if there's any hope that others can kind of wake up and realize that this is what's happening in the world, and it's not just a little transitory type of bad time, but that we are very possibly living in the times of consequence for our actions, and that those of us that have chosen the lifestyle to not be part of this, that's chosen the belief to not be part of this, that we have to get ourselves ready so that we can endure to the end. And that's really, in the end, the big thing that we have to do, to get ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually prepared, because the world does seem to be just kind of falling apart around us. And we don't want to be part of that. Just as much as we don't want to be part of the wickedness of the world, we don't really want to be part of the falling apart of the world too. So get your houses in order, folks. Just keep preparing. Keep working with your family to get them ready, working with your tribe to get it ready, spending more time focusing, getting your focus on the Most High, because that's really where our salvation, not just spiritual salvation, but our physical also salvation will come from. Folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.